देवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायम् उदीरयेत् श्रीन्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सुताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Morning, everyone. I would like to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, Cantos 4, chapter 14, verses 15, 16, and 17. Verse 15. Dharma acharitah pumsam vanimanah kavya buddhibihi lokan visokan viratya ata anantam asanginam dharmaha, the religious principles, acharitaha, executed, pumsam, to persons, walk by words, manaha, mind, kavya, body, buddhibihi, and by intelligence, lokan, the planets, visok, visokan, without misery, vitarati, bestow, atha, certainly, anantyam, unlimited happiness, liberation, asanginam, to those free from material influences. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Those who live according to religious principles and who follow them by words, mind, body, and intelligence are elevated to the heavenly kingdom, which is devoid by all miseries. Being thus rid of material influence, they achieve unlimited happiness in life. Purport. The saintly sages herein instruct that the king or head of government should set an example by living a religious life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, religion means worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not simply make a show of religious life, but should perform devotional service perfectly with words, mind, body, and good intelligence. By doing so, not only will the king or the government head rid himself of the contamination of the material modes of nature, but the public will also. And they will all become gradually elevated to the kingdom of God and go back home, back to Godhead. The instructions given here serve as a summary of how the head of the government should execute his ruling power and thus attain happiness not only in this life, but also in the life after. Text 16. Tatema vinasyatvira prajanam kshema lakshanaha yasmin vinaste nrupatir aiswaryad avarohati saha. That spiritual life they by you, ma, do not, virasat, let it be spoiled. Vira, O hero, prajanam of the people, kshema lakshanaha, the cause of prosperity, yasmin, which vinaste, being spoiled, nrupatihi, the king, aiswaryat, from opulence, avarohati, falls down. Translation. The sages continued, O hero, for this reason, you should not be the cause of spoiling the spiritual life of the general populace. If their spiritual life is spoiled because of your activities, you will certainly fall down from your opulence and royal position. For, formerly, in practically all parts of the world, there were monarchies. But gradually, as monarchies declined from the ideal life of religion to the godless life of sense gratification, monarchies all over the world were abolished. However, simply abolishing a monarchies and replacing it with democracy is not sufficient Unless the government men and religious and unless the government men are religious and follow in the footsteps of great religious personalities. Text 17. Rajan asadva amantebyas चोराविद्या प्रजा नृपः राक्षान् यथा बलिं गृह्णन् इह प्रेत्या च मोदते. Rajan, O king, asadu mischievous, amantyabhyas from ministeries, chora adibhya from thieves and rogues, praja, the citizens, nrapaha, the king, rakshan, protecting, yatha, accordingly as, balim, taxes, grahanan, accepting, iha, in this world, pretya, after death, cha, also, modate, enjoys. The translation, the saints persons continued, when the king protects the citizens from the disturbances of mischievous ministers, as well as from the thieves and rogues, he can, by virtue of such pious activities, accept taxes given by his subjects. Thus, a pious king can certainly enjoy himself in this world as well as in the life after death. Purport. The duty of pious king is described very nicely in this verse. His first and foremost duty is to give protection to the citizens from the thieves and rogues, as well as from ministers who are no better than thieves and rogues. Formerly, ministers were appointed by the king and were not elected. Consequently, if the king was not very pious or strict, the ministers would become the thieves and rogues and exploit the innocent citizens. If the It is the king's duty to see if there are no increase of thieves and rogues either in the government, secretariat, or in the departments of public affairs. If the king cannot give protection to citizens from thieves and rogues, both in government service and in public affairs, he has no right to exact taxes from them. In other words, the king or the government that taxes can levy taxes from the citizens only if the king or the government is able to give protection to the citizens from the thieves and rogues. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a 12.1.42, there is a description of the thieves and rogues in government service. As stated, Prajastes Bhaktasyanti Mlecha Rajanya Rupaha. These proud Malechas, persons who are less than Sudras, represent themselves as kings, will tyrannize their subjects, and their subjects, on the other hand, will cultivate most vicious practices. Thus, practicing evil habits and behaving foolishly, the subjects will be will be like their rulers. The idea is that in the democratic days of Kali Yuga, the general population will fall down to the standards of Sudras, as stated in Kalau Sudra Sambhavaha. Practically, the whole population of the world will be Sudras. A Sudra is a fourth class of man who is only fit to work for the higher three higher social castes. Being fourth class men, Sudras are not very intelligent. Since the population is falling in these democratic days, they can only elect one person in their category. But the government cannot run very well when it is run by Sudras. The second class of men, known as Kshatriyas, are especially meant for governing a country under the direction of saintly persons, Brahmanas, which are supposed to be very intelligent. In other ages, in Satya Yuga, in other ages, in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, the general per- populace was not so degraded, and the head of the government was never elected. The king was the supreme elective personality, and if he caught by any ministers stealing like thieves and rogues, he would at once have them killed or dismissed for service. As this was the duty of the king to kill the thieves and rogues, was similarity his duty to kill dishonest ministries government service. By such strict vigilance, the king would run the government very well, and the citizens would be happy to have such a king. The conclusion is that unless the king is perfectly able to give protection to the citizens from rogues and thieves, he has no right to levy taxes from the citizens from his own sense of gratification. However, if he gives all protection to the citizens and levies taxes on them, he can live very happily and peacefully in this life, and at the end of this life, be elevated to the heavenly kingdom or even to the Vaikunthas, where he will be very happy in all respects. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pasata Desatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. I humbly um, bow down to seek the blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas here. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to purify my heart and forgive me for any of my shortcomings. Um, I listened to the lecture from H.G. Nitya Krishna Das Prabhuji and gathered some information related to this topic. With great humility and recognizing my unworthiness to address the subject on the assembled Vaishnavas, I offer uh, my words inspired from the wisdom from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and the guidance from our acharyas. Uh, in this particular topic talks about more of very well discussed in Bhagavad Gita, as well as it's all talks about Kali Yuga. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 20 and 21, Lord Krishna underscores the profound responsibility of a leadership and transformative power by leading by example. It talks about the leading by example, right? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 20, we talk about kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by a performance of prescribed duties, following the duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. This explains people should perform their duties to set a good example for the world. And the same thing was mentioned in chapter 3, verse 21. Yada acharati shreshtas tat eva taro janaha Tayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. So what it says is, whatever action is performed by the great man, common man will follow in his footsteps. So we have to follow the footsteps of great personalities, right? These verses are like the guiding light, not only for the rulers, um, uh, but everyone, right? But here, the rulers like King Veena, we are talking about, um, um, uh, uh, he's very much on the envious side, right? Like he's not, even though he's in the born in the family of great lineage, he's following. He is not good to the people. He's not a good leader, you know. So uh, I took few things and I analyzed what is the our responsibility, right? Um, Here in from the verses, I figured and I analyzed, and when I looked at what it says in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, even the great leaders like King Janaka attained perfection through prescribed duties. Their actions were not for personal gain, but to set an example for others to follow. Leaders must inspire society to live righteously, and thus the principle extends beyond kings and sages to every soul who influences others. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages' compassionate attempt to guide King Vena reflect this deal. Despite Vena's unrighteous nature, the sages approached him with patience, offering him to the opportunity to reform. However, when the advisors discarded, they were prepared to act decisively, illustrating the true leadership is guided by dharma and the welfare for all. The sages advice to King Vena aligning with eternal principles of devotional sages, engaging the body, mind, and words in the service of the Lord. As Srila Prabhupada says, that the religion is not a mere ritual of display, but a sincere offering of everything that we possess to Krishna. This is our eternal dharma, transcending all temporary designations, whether sweeping the temple floor like King Ambarisha or using the words to glorify Krishna. Every action must be guided by intelligence and directed towards the Lord pleasure. Rupa Goswami teaches in the Nectarine of Instructions that success in devotional life begins with utsaha. Utsaha means enthusiasm, right? Enthusiastic endeavor and intelligence. This principle reminds us that our spiritual efforts must be intentional and thoughtful. King Ambarisha's life exemplifies this as he engaged every part of his being, hands, legs, mind, and speech, is in Krishna's devotional service. Um, So when we surrender to Krishna, this is a reciprocal nature from Krishna. When we offer ourselves entirely to Krishna, a beautiful reciprocation occurs. Uh, uh, in his boundaries, Krishna offers himself to his devotees. This exchange is not theoretical, but vividly experienced through the lives of great souls and teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. We hear several stories like this in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the sages encourage King Vena here also to follow Dharma for his benefits, and that surrendering to Krishna uplifts not only the individuals, but all of the society. It's all good, but why, you may ask, why not in this life? Um, if it's all good, why can't we do in this life? Srila Prabhupada often proposes that, like, why not do this one in this life? We have lived countless lives in pursuit of fulfilling our pleasure, and we may live countless life more if we do not surrender to the Lord by um, dedicating this life to Krishna. Even if we don't achieve the ultimate goal of Krishna Prema, we will still attain great spiritual and material blessings. And for those who will surrender, the reward is eternal, returning to constitutional position in Krishna's service. Um, uh, and also at the end of Sri Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says, like, abandon all the varieties of dharma and simply surrender unto me. I will deliver to you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. He's talking about surrendering is more important there. In conclusion, whether we look at leadership of King Janaka or the devotional surrender of King Ambarisha, the message is clear. The path to bhakti is the highest way. By offering our body, mind, words, and intelligence in Krishna's service, we not only uplift ourselves, but inspire others to follow in this path. Let's therefore take this life and submit to Lord Krishna's service. And and this is very, very beautifully explained Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says Vasudeva is everything. I will be ending up with that one. We have to do our prescribed duties to realize Supreme God. Here it says something like this in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.28. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanaham, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gatihi. Um, this one says, like, the worthiest object of knowledge is Vasudeva. The worthiest purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Vasudeva. Yoga is meant to connect our consciousness to Vasudeva. All fruitful activities are ultimately rewarded by him. He's a supreme knowledge, and and all the severe austerities we perform is to please Vasudeva only. Dharma, the religion is, or dharma is rendering loving service, is performed to please Vasudeva. All duties in Varnashram we are doing is to please Vasudeva only. He's the ultimate. Uh, his ultimate destination. Vasudeva is the supreme goal of life and ultimate destination of humanity. With this, I would like to end this one. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for giving